with no bias, news with no exemptions, delivering nothing but the truth. This is Jason Revisare, your news anchor for today, serving you the hottest and the most leading news of the hour. We are your partners for this service. For the headlines, honoring life and educational experiences of Dr. Jose Rizal, his colorful love affairs, and his journey to different areas of the world. Rizal's life, works, and writing and their impact in our national identity. Rizal's expedition, foreign domination taking a bill to death. Life and educational experiences of Dr. Jose Rizal. Who is Dr. Jose Rizal? Dr. Jose Rizal was born on June 19, 1861 between 11 and 12 noon at the lakeshore town in Calamba, Laguna. He is the seventh child of Don Francisco Mercado and Doña Teodora Alonso. His family fondly called him Pepe, whose childhood was full of joy and meaningful memories. He was amiable, thoughtful, and a loving person. Dr. Jose Rizal's parents. Rizal's father was the youngest of Cyril Alejandro and Juan Mercado. Pepe regarded him as the model of fathers and he died on January 5, 1898. Pepe's mother was a native of Santa Cruz, Manila. She was well-mannered and a diligent mother, and Pepe considered her a remarkable woman. Jose's siblings. She is also known as Neneng. She is married to Manuel Hidalgo and died in 1913 at the age of 63. He is the only brother of Pepe and is married to Severina Dicina and died at the age of 79. She is married to Antonio Lopez and believed to be the only sibling that could narrate the poems of Pepe. Olympia was known as Ipia and married to Silvestre Obaldo. Lucia was married to Manuel Herbosa of Calamba, Laguna. Maria was married to Daniel Faustino Cruz of Binyan, Laguna. She was known as Biang. Concepcion was called Concha and died at the age of 3. Josefa was known as Pango in her family and died at the age of 80. Trinidad was the keeper of Rizal's Mi Ultimo Adios and died at the age of 83. Soledad was known as Chole and married to Pantaleon Quintero and became a teacher. Rizal's educational experiences. Rizal in Binyan was the best in his class in Latin, Spanish, and the rest of the subjects. Rizal in Ateneo topped all his classmates in all subjects and won 5 medals at the end of the school term. Rizal studied medicine in UST because he wanted to be a physician so that he can cure his mother's failing eyesight. Rizal decided to study in Spain after finishing the 4th year of his medical course. Now here we have Mr. Excellent Tenorio to report the colorful love affairs of Dr. Jose Rizal.
Thank you, Saire. This is Excellent Tenorio to report the colorful love affairs of Dr. Jose Rizal. Dr. Jose Rizal was also known for having a long list of ex-lovers, since Rizal was also well-traveled and he met and fell in love with all sorts of women from different parts of the world. So here's a definite list of Rizal's ex-lovers ranked depending on their level of badassery. Segunda Katigbak. She was a sister of Rizal's friend and classmate. They met in Lipa, Batangas and describes her as having eloquent eyes, rosy cheeks, and smile that reveals a very beautiful teeth. Leonor Valenzuela. She was Rizal's neighbor when she stays in Intramuros while studying at University of Santo Tomas. Leonor Rivera. She was a cousin of Rizal and his childhood sweetheart. They met in Manila when Leonor was 13 years old. Consuela Ortiga Y. Rey. She was the daughter of former Manila Mayor. Rizal met her at Madrid on September 16, 1882. Seiko Usuy. She and Rizal worked at Spanish legation in Tokyo. She was 23 when she met a 27-year-old Rizal. Gertrude Beckett. She was the daughter of Rizal's landlord when he stayed at London in 1888. Suzanne Jacobi. She was the niece of landladies of the boarding house where Rizal stayed in Brussels in February 1890. Nellie Boosted. She was the daughter of a British businessman and a half Filipina. She was also the fiancée of Antonio Luna. Josephine Bracken. She was born in Hong Kong to Irish parents and was the wife of Jose Rizal. Rizal called her Dulce Extranjera. And that's the colorful love affairs of Dr. Jose Rizal. Here we have Ms. Solano to report about the journey of Dr. Jose Rizal to different areas of the world.
Thank you, Mr. Tenorio. For this news, on May 3, 1882, Rizal left the Philippines for the first time. On May 9, the Salvador docked at Singapore. He then stayed at Hotel de La Paz and spent 2 days on a sightseeing soiree of the city. He saw the famous botanical garden, the beautiful Buddhist temples, the busy shopping district, and the statue of Sir Thomas Stanford Raffles, who was the founder of Singapore. After days of staying in Singapore, Rizal boarded a ship Gemna, which was a French steamer, and left Singapore for Europe on May 11th. By conversing daily with the French passengers, he then was able to improve his knowledge of the French language. From Colombo, the Gemna continued the voyage, crossing the Indian Ocean to the Cape Coast of Africa. Rizal sighted the barren coast of Africa for the first time, which he called an inhospitable land but famous. The next stop over was in Aden, and from Aden the ship proceeded to the city of Suez. Upon arrival, Rizal disembarked and went sightseeing. What impressed him most was the beautiful moonlight, which reminded him of Calamba and his family. He was also fascinated to hear multiracial inhabitants speaking a wide variety of language. Naples pleased Rizal because of its business activity, its lively people, and its scenic beauty. He was fascinated with the Mount Vesuvius, the Castle of St. Elmo, and other historic sites of the city. June 12, the steamer docked at the French harbor of Marseille, and he visited a famous chateau d'Alpes where Dantes was imprisoned. He stayed 2.5 days in Marseille. May 15, Rizal left Marseille to proceed to Spain via train. In Barcelona, Rizal wrote a nationalistic essay entitled Amor Patrio, which was his first written article on Spain's soil. On November 3, Rizal enrolled in the Universidad Central de Madrid. He took medicine and philosophy and letters as his courses. Rizal left Madrid to visit Paris. Like all tourists, Rizal was charmingly titillated by the attractive scenery of Paris. He visited Linek Hospital, wherein Rizal observed Dr. Nicaise treating his patients. Rizal was also impressed by the way Spanish Masons criticized the government policies. In Heidelberg, he worked at the University Eye Hospital under the direction of Dr. Otto Becker. At weekends, he visited the scenic spots around Heidelberg. Rizal, together with Viola, visited the city of Prague. They carried recommendation letters from Lumetrit to Dr. Wilcom, a professor of natural history in the University of Prague. Vienna City very much fascinated Rizal because of its beautiful buildings, religious images, and charm. Rizal and Viola presented a letter of recommendation from Lumetrit to Norman Falls, one of the greatest novelists in Europe during that time. They sojourned for a short time to savor the famous Munich beer, reputed to be the best in Germany. They were also greatly impressed by the manufacture of dolls in Nuremberg. They stayed in the Schaffhausen from June 2 to 3, 1887. They then continued their tour to Basel, Bern, and Lausanne. Rizal was impressed with the people of Geneva because they were speaking French, German, and Italian. Rizal went to Italy. He visited Turin, Milan, Venice, and Florence. On June 27, he reached Rome. He was impressed by the magnificent edifices, particularly of St. Peter's Church, which was also his feast day during that time. On August 5, Haifong arrived in Manila, and he went ashore with a happy heart, for he was once again in Filipino soil. He stayed in the city for a short time to visit some friends and observed that Manila was the same 5 years ago. Now we have Miss Bien Requerme to report about works of Rizal.
This is the work of Dr. Jose Rizal. For Dr. Jose Rizal, the well-respected national hero of the Philippines, he quoted, "The pen is mightier than the sword." Through his literary masterpieces, he voiced strong opposition to the abuse of Spaniards and conveyed messages that he hoped would inspire his fellow countrymen. To the Filipino youth, Rizal wrote this literary poem when he was still studying at the University of Santo Tomas. At the age of 18, this work is filled with strong messages to convince readers, the youth particularly, that they are hope of the nation. Goodbye to Leonor. This literary piece gives an insight into the romantic relationship of Rizal and his beloved Leonor Rivera. The two met when in the province of Dagupan when Rivera was only 13 years old. Rivera's parents were not in favor of their relationship. The loneliness he felt resulted in this melancholic poem to the young women of Malalas. Rizal's letter entitled To the Young Women of Malalas reflects his inheritance and issues reminders to the Filipino women. In his letter, he addresses all kinds of Filipino women. The idea behind this letter sparked after he was impressed by the women of Malalas who won the battle they fought. Kundiman, this is traditionally refers to the love song where a man serenades the woman he loves. He wrote this to profess his intense love for his motherland. This piece reflects his high hopes that one day the Philippines will be free from treachery and injustice. Junto al Pasig, when translated into English, the title of this work means beside Pasig River. Rizal wrote this one-act play in the Spanish language for the Veliada. The play centers around Leonido and the Diwata or Satan. Rizal wrote it in honor of the Lady of Our Peace and Voyage of the USD. Noli Me Tangere, one of the most sought-after books in the Philippine literature until today, it is Rizal's famous novel. Driven by his undying love for his country, Rizal wrote the novel to expose the ills of the Philippine society during the Spanish colonial era. El Filibusterismo. This is Rizal's sequel to his first book. The novel exhibits a dark theme in which it depicts the country's issues and how the protagonist attempts a reform. The novel also portrays the abuse, corruption, and discrimination of the Spaniards towards Filipinos. Mi Ultimo Adios. During his final days in Fort Santiago of Manila, Rizal bid farewell to his motherland and countrymen through letters. Mi Ultimo Adios, or My Last Farewell, is one of the few last works that Rizal wrote. Now we have Miss Kadil and Miss Mitimbang for the Rizal's expedition.
Rizal's expedition, foreign domination, talking a bill to death. The Spaniards meant that Rizal was shot by the Filipino soldiers, so they were in the front. The Spaniards lined up in the back. After shooting Rizal, the doctor ordered the soldier to give the tyranny. This is according to Drum Corps member Hilarion Martinez. On December 30, 1896, Dr. Jose Protasio Rizal, the greatest man of the Malayan race, was shot to death at Bagumbayan, Luneta, Manila by a firing squad of native soldiers on the accusation of political conspiracy and sedition. From the foil, Bonifacio only gathered strength, and soon the KKK spread like wildfire through the entire archipelago. June 19, 2011 is the 150th birth anniversary of Dr. Jose Rizal. Celebrations and activities will be held nationwide. That's it for our news today. Tune in for the next report. This is Janet V. Cadil, your news anchor, serving you only truth and transparency.